Today is December 2nd, 2018. My name is Emily Frost, and for our social diversity project, we will be doing a company that is an assisted living. The reason we chose to expand to Egypt and Iraq is because their healthcare facilities and all around healthcare is diminishing.
Hi, I'm Sam McCall. The two countries researched by a group are Iraq and Egypt, with the goal of establishing an assisted living facility in one country. For my presentation, I will provide a general summary of the two countries talked about, business, economy, and social customs of each. In the article Iraq Country Report from a 2018 issue of Iraq Country Review, we found some details about Iraq. This source was found by the EBSCO database at the Tri-County Technical Library. Details of Egypt were taken from Reform Drives Economic Growth, an article included in the Middle East Digest from November 2008. This resource also came from the EBSCO host at Tri-County Tech. Here's a map of Iraq. They are dominated by two famous rivers, Tigris and Euphrates. It is the fertile region between the two rivers is called the island. It's where most of the people live. It's a harsh place to live. 40% of the land is rocky and desert. 30% is mountainous and it has bitterly cold winters. One of the most culturally diverse nations in the Middle East. And this is Egypt. Without the Nile River, most of Egypt would be desert, and most all the people live near the Nile River. The Nile River flows from south to north, and that's why in the upper part they call it the Lower Egypt, and in the lower part they call it Upper Egypt. There's only about 1 inch of rainfall in Egypt yearly. Each summer the river rises because of rains, and this causes floods and brings sediment to the plants and trees and helps crops grow. The landscape is mountainous and desert and has valleys. The population is growing rapidly, and it puts strain on Egypt's resources. Overcrowding near Nile River is where most people live.
I am Jason Kohlmeyer. I'm doing the education in Egypt and Iraq. Compulsory education in Egypt lasts for 9 years, from ages 6 to 14. School children are required to wear uniforms, as the school system is based largely upon the British model. Arabic is the language of instruction, although certain courses may be taught in English or French. Girls and boys are educated together, although women will often be placed into separate facilities in some universities. Education is compulsory from the ages of 6 to 14, during which students can complete their primary and lower secondary education. Preschool in Egypt is from ages 4 to 5. The length of the program is 2 years. Basic first stage is their primary school. Length of the program is 6 years, ages 6 to 11 years. Their basic second stage is their preparatory school. Their length of the program is 3 years, ages 12 to 14. General secondary is their length of the program is 3 years, ages 15 to 17 years, and their final award is the General Secondary Education Certificate. The technical secondary is their technical secondary school, which is 3 years, ages 15 to 17. Their final award is the Technical Education Diploma, and the technical school is length of the program is 5 years, ages 15 to 20 years. Basic compulsory education, which lasts for 9 years, is split into 6 years of primary school, 3 years of preparatory school. Egyptian students have the choice of entering state, religious, or private schools. Preparatory school graduates receive the Basic Education Completion Certificate. After basic education, students may enter a general secondary school or a technical school. Technical schools may have 3 or 5 year tracks. There are also vocational upper secondary schools that specialize in teaching industrial, commercial, or agricultural subjects, and which typically prepare students for immediate entry into the job market. The special special schools. Most Egyptian children with special needs are unable to access education as educational facilities providing special services are able to serve only 10% of the total disabled population. Egypt has 803 schools specifically for children with disabilities, while the country has roughly 2 million children with special needs, while placement is often readily available for those who can afford tuition fees for private schools. This is not an option for poor families. Until recently, the only educational options available to most children with special needs were enrollment in special schools or attendance at regular schools without any extra support services. However, with a shift in government policy, there has been a significant move towards offering these children enrollment in regular schools. Then, the Ministry of Education is currently implementing programs with the aim of having 10% of the 2 million school-aged children with special needs enrolled in schooling by 2012 as of 2006. The enrollment rate among the disabled population was only 1.8%. Courses in Egyptian schools include Islamic education, social studies, mathematics, science, English, Arabic, and art education. Now, okay, education in Iraq. As you can see in this picture, pens and paper for peacemaking, a delivery to school in Kalaba, which in Iraq, this is what they use mainly. School has been compulsory for Iraq children between the ages of 6 and 15 since 1976. However, many children do not attend beyond primary schooling, which ends at the age of 11 years. Education in Iraq has traditionally been delivered in modern standard Arabic or Fusha, which differs from spoken Iraqi Arabic. In the Kurdish Autonomous Region, Kurdish is the main language of instruction, with Arabic and English also used. At the territory level, some technical subjects such as medicine and engineering employ English as the language of instruction. The formal structure of the school system. Primary, which type of school providing this education is primary school. Length of program is 6 years, aged 6 to 11 years. The certificate/diploma awarded is the primary baccalaureate or certificate of primary studies. Intermediate secondary is their length of program is 3 years, ages 12 to 15. Their diploma awarded is the certificate of intermediate studies. For the preparatory secondary, length of program is 3 years, ages 15 to 18. And the diploma awarded is the 6th form of baccalaureate. And the vocational secondary is length of program 3 years, ages 15 to 18. And the diploma is vocational baccalaureate. The cost of schooling in Iraq. The compulsory schooling program is free for all students. However, parents must bear the cost of transport and meals for children, as well as basic writing materials. The Iraqi government funded a secondary school for gifted children, the Gifted Students School GSS in Bangladesh in 1998. The school is co-educational, accepting 10 girls and 10 boys each year based on IQ testing. The school was relocated in 2003 when the war began and has now expanded to operate from 3 campuses in Agnafa, Abarsh, and Muso. The country has a number of rehabilitation centers for children with disabilities, where education is provided. Children commencing school who are perceived as slow learners may be referred to the Disability Diagnostic Center, where medical specialists may either recommend they move to a rehabilitation center or undertake learning in special education class with regular schooling. Such classes are set up to run with 6 to 12 pupils only in order to increase teacher contact, but students do sit the regular examinations. The Ministry of Education determines the national curriculum and advises schools on reforms as appropriate. The primary curriculum includes Islamic education, Arabic language, and calligraphy, mathematics, science, technical education, physical education, and singing and music. English is studied in the final 2 years, and history and geography and family education are introduced. In addition, the Christian religion is taught for 2 periods in school, where the majority of the student population is Christian.
Go.
The idea of business and its impact on the economy is very different in each country. Iraq, the oil is where they make most of their money. It's the second largest oil supply. They had a serious drop in oil prices and instability caused by the 2003 war, which left most of Iraq in poverty. In 2004, the attempts to recover was they had an emergency post-conflict assistance to address public debt. They had a standby program aimed at helping to improve economic growth. In Egypt, oil, gas, and tourism is where they might make most of their money. The tourist attraction is the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx. In 2004, reform with positive economic growth from Prime Minister Nazif, he made improvements in starting a business, dealing with construction permits, registering property, obtaining credit information, protecting investors, and trading across borders. The information in the T-chart is based on research from an article entitled Reform Defines Economic Growth from the November 2008 issue of Middle East Digest and Iraq Country Report. From the 2008 issue of Iraq Country Review, page 431 to 435. Both resources are from the EBSCO database at Tri-County. In comparing businesses and economy of the two countries, an article entitled 100 Years of Fortitude from the Economic Issue from November 1999 states that major changes remain from Iraq. Unemployment continues to be a problem. Economic growth in Iraq is declining and likely to be weaker going forward.
Healthcare in Egypt. This source is the Global Road Warrior. The World Health Organization assessment ranked Egypt 63 of its 191 member countries in overall quality and performance of its healthcare system. Most doctors receive their training in Alexandria or Cairo. A fair number speak English or another language in addition to Arabic. This is from Culturegrams. Medical facilities are limited, especially in rural areas. Private hospitals are for the wealthy. If you're poor, you get no medical treatment. Due to lower quality health care in public hospitals, many Egyptians seek treatment at private hospitals, though they must pay for their own medicine and other fees, such as doctor fees, any x-rays. When a poor person goes to the hospital almost turns them away because they know they can't pay for it, so they're not making any money. So it's almost as a risk rather than a reward. Healthcare in Iraq. This is from Culturegrams. Iraq's healthcare system is in despair, especially in rural areas. Hospitals are understaffed and lack needed medical resources and supplies. Since 2003, the assassinations of prominent Iraq medical specialists, coupled with political intimidation of medical professionals, have prompted many Iraq physicians to flee to Iraq and seek refuge in neighboring countries, which is the Europe and U.S. This is from Global Road Warrior. The public facilities operating do not meet high standards, and the majority lack medical equipment and supplies. There are currently 5 physicians per 10,000 people. Private sector healthcare has an extensive network of facilities, including 65 private hospitals, none for the poor. While the Baghdad International Airport has limited operations for security purposes, some private companies do offer medical evacs, but it has to be, again, for rich. All right, Paul.
Okay, climate in Egypt. The seasons that they have are winter, which are March to May, has moderate temperatures that typically average around 50 degrees Fahrenheit with occasional chilly evenings. Spring, June to August, is dry, hot, and dusty. Summer, September to November, is dry and hot with temperatures reaching as high as 100 degrees. Autumn, December to February, is dry and hot. The land and the climate. Most of Egypt is dry, airy desert spotted with small inhabited oases. Before the Awsum Dam was built in southeastern Egypt, the Nile Delta and the surrounding valleys were subject to seasonal flooding. Although the dam is credited with triggering Egypt's modern industrialization, generating significant electrical power and allowing for more predictable crop planting by regulating water flow, it has also caused environmental problems because the valuable silt that's used to wash in with the floods each year is now trapped behind the dam. Egypt's soils have been depleted and must rely heavily on fertilizers. Summers are hot and humid with daily high temperatures reaching 108 degrees in some areas. Winters are moderate with lows of near 40. Annual rainfall ranges from virtually nothing in the desert to about 8 inches in the Nile Delta. Now we're going to the climate in Iraq. The nation has 3 major types of terrain. Sparsely inhabited deserts in western Iraq, mountains along the northern and eastern borders, and fertile valleys of the Tigris and Euphrates river systems in central Iraq. The Tigris and the Euphrates are the nation's vital water sources. Attribute plays a crucial role in determining religion, climate variation. These are 3 broad climate regions recognized across the country.
Okay, hello, my name is Matthew O'Donnell, and I'm here to tell you about the gender roles in Egypt and Iraq. Both are very, very Muslim, Islamic countries. The difference between Egypt and Iraq is Egypt, the gender roles for women are more lenient. They just had a recent revolution kind of deal where the women are now being able to go out and get jobs and stuff. Now, I'm not saying it's all perfect because women are still 4 times as unlikely as to get a job as men are over there. However, over in Iraq, it is almost impossible for women to get jobs over there and not be, I'm going to use the word hated for lack of better word. In Iraq, most women would never, ever, ever want to be friends with other women because that's just their old custom, that's their old way. When in Egypt nowadays, women are fine with becoming friends with other women. Over in Iraq, 80% of men and women both voted on this, that they would not want their women to be friends with anyone else besides people in the household.
Social customs, especially for women, are difficult in Iraq and Egypt. Both deal with education and employment. Iraq has some of the best schools and colleges in the Arab world. However, for women, schooling is not always seen as socially acceptable. It is noted that today only 40% can read and write. The quality of education system was drastically affected by the Gulf War of 1991. Since then, women were not able to work because needs at home increased. They are dependent on men for money support more than ever. Women have taken the role as caregiver in the home. Egypt, however, education improved for men and women beginning as early as elementary school. Girls increased attendance in elementary school from 50% to 72%. Today, more women attended universities than men. Most men study abroad. Jobs for women increased from 6% to 23%. In fact, women in the workforce has doubled in the last 20 years. Historically, women allowed only female jobs such as nurse or teacher, but today women work in all occupational fields. Egypt has a very strong ethnic for both men and women.
Religion in Egypt. 10% of the population is Christian. Coptic Christians hold few positions in government and have little influence in running the country. That is from Culturegrams. Religion in Egypt. Islamic principles guide the nation's laws, business relations, and social customs. Muslim must pray 5 times a day. On Friday, the Islamic day of worship, men gather in the church, women pray at home or in separate parts. They are not allowed to pray together at all, and if it's on a different day other than Friday, they can pray at home. Religion in Iraq, also from Culturegrams. Islam is the official religion of Iraq, and most Iraqis are Muslim. Sunni Muslims make up about 1/3 of the population and live primarily around Baghdad and to the north, as well as in Western governments.
Okay. Business etiquette over in Iraq and Egypt are very, very similar, where they both like to dress as nice as possible because they feel like that's a good portion of showing their status. It also shows a good work environment. Management is very, very different not very different from Egypt than Iraq though. In Egypt, you have the top tier manager who would look down, and they typically work a lot more with their employees, when over in Iraq, he typically does all the paperwork by himself while the employees would continue doing whatever they're doing. Over in Egypt and over in Iraq, the works environment is a lot more subtle though. Typically when they are on job and they go by another employee, they say a simple peace be unto you and onto you as well. So it's a very, very friendly, open environment over in Iraq, and over in Egypt, it's typically more of a closed, confined area.
Okay. All my information came from Culturegrams and Global Lawyer. The country that we choose, our final decision that we chose on, was Egypt because they have much better health care and schools. And as assisted living is a long-term senior care option that provides personal care, meals, medicine, bathing, dressing, and transportation. Major challenges remain from Iraq. Unemployment continues to be a problem. Economic growth in Iraq is declining and likely to be weaker going forward.